What's going on, guys? I'm Tom Quinlan. Welcome to another edition of the Weekly Ram. We are into week 1 of the 2013 PDL season, and the Real Boston Rams have completed their first match against CFC Azul last Saturday down at Moscato Stadium in Easton, Massachusetts. And unfortunately for the Rams, it resulted in a 3-0 loss. And really, after talking to Pete Mendel, the assistant coach of the Real Boston Rams, he said it was simply a tale of two halves. And when you listen to the broadcast back again, if you watch it on Easton Public Access Television, you're going to see what Mendel was saying. It was a tale of two halves, and the first half, you have to give a lot of credit to the quality play I believe you saw from the Real Boston Rams, and it started with the back line. You know, you had Matt Keys back there, Paxton Ballard, Thomas Ballantyne, and Alexander Marks doing a great job communicating, swinging the ball around the back, everybody getting 1-2 touches in between there, pushing it up towards the midfield. A good counterattack was going, and, you know, Brett Conrad had a lot of protection in front of him. CFC Azul was forced to push the balls on the outside. You know, nothing was getting generated in the middle for CFC Azul in the first half. And the Rams did a great job in forcing that pressure. So I give a lot of credit to the defense. You look at the midfield with Maduro, Finkelstein. They did a very good job, I believed also. I believe that you have Maduro, who was really focused on by CFC Azul. And if he gets going during the year, watch out, because he's a very dangerous player. Quality skill that he brings to the Real Boston Rams. He's got a professional background. But, I mean, he got shut down, essentially, by CFC Azul and couldn't do much on the ball. And then when you look at what else he has, he wasn't playing with his star midfielder in Andrew Souza. Souza is one of those guys that could change a game. CFC Azul shut down Maduro's game and couldn't open up the middle of the field for the Real Boston Rams. And, you know, if you put Souza and Maduro in the middle right there, that's a much more dangerous attack. Absolutely. And then you look up top with Ali Sazeri, Gustavo Santos, and Manny Andrade. And those are three guys that are very young, tactically smart, and as Jimmy Costa was saying in the last podcast, they have to be the guys that bring it together on those final 1-2 touches, and that was the only thing that was lacking. If they get that final touch in there, this is a very dangerous team, but there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out before the next match. And, you know, in the second half, that's where you saw a lot of those flaws being more exposed. And it came from the midfield, and it came from up top. The defense did a good job. Brett Conrad did a good job in communicating with his defense. Had a tough job, you know, later in the game. That second goal from Mario Di Michele from maybe like 35 yards out, just misplayed the ball, you know, out of position. And when he saw the ball go over his head, and give it some credit, the weather played a huge factor into this game, I believe, in terms of wind and the rain. It was a bad goal. It's one of those goals that you just shake off and you forget about and you move on. Losing 3-0 doesn't tell the real story about this Real Boston Rams team. Let's look at those power rankings for a second. Number 1, CFC Azul. Obviously, this is a team that shut down the Rams, took them out completely. Second half, that's what changed the game. And that's why the Rams were absolutely they were stagnant. And if that can change in developing the team, in which Jimmy Costa is harped on, then you're going to see a lot of that success, and it's going to come together, and it's going to look completely different. You know, the Rams are 4th in the power rankings for the Northeast Division. I don't think you got a good look at the Rams, essentially, because this is a team this is only the second time they've played with each other in game action. They held CFC Azul to a 0-0 draw at the end of the first half. The second half, when they started to get a little tired, once those passes started not getting there and they couldn't connect with guys as much, it became more of a struggle. And after that second goal, you could say they checked out. 63 minutes into the game, the weather plays a huge factor. I think this is one of those games, and this is a 14-game season, where you can just wipe it off and say we move on to the next one. And the next one's a big one, because I think this is where you get a good look at this team. This Saturday, 7 o'clock, down at Oliver Ames High School, Moscato Stadium in Easton, Massachusetts, the Real Boston Rams will take on the Vermont Voltage, who also was in action last Saturday, lost their own one. They put up 4 goals, but they gave up 5 as well in their loss to GPS Portland, who will be playing in the U.S. Open Cup, in the Real Boston Rams. Would like to extend our greatest wishes to GPS Portland and wishing them luck in the U.S. Open Cup this year. But the Rams and the Vermont Voltage, that's Week 2's matchup, and you can catch it live at Moscato Stadium this Saturday, 7 o'clock. Can't be there? Catch it online on Ustream.com. Should be a good match, and I honestly believe you're going to get a good look at this team because it's going to come together, and I believe it's going to be a completely different mindset going into this weekend's match. So that does it for another edition of the Weekly Ram. I'm Tom Quinlan. We'll see you next time.